Welcome to Between Two Peers, a live stream show where your hosts, Miss Sassy Seamstress and Sir Danger Muppet, invite a guest from around the known world to answer your pressing questions about life, the universe, and everything. This week, we're sponsored by Jell-O Shots. It does not count as drinking when you have to eat it. Also, editorial moment, I hate Jell-O Shots, but it's not up to me. So this show is rated R for language, possible sexual conversation topics, and general sassy opinions. And with that, I'll turn it over to Helga for her intro.
Hi, I'm Sir Danger Muppet, otherwise known as Helga, and I'm going to quote Claire today. I like dogs, and unlike my co-host, I really enjoy Jell-O Shots.
I'm Mistress Sassy Seamstress, aka Tulia, and yeah, Jell-O Shots are just awful. Like, I can't get my tongue into the cup to get them out. And then it's just that weird
personal problem that training is needed on. I can fix it for you.
Which you can infer whatever you want to infer into that. That's just,
practice.
Anyway, tonight our guest is Masterinna Ula, who is a dear friend of both of ours and somebody we were really eager to have on the show. And we're happy that she's able to do it now. So with that, Ula, give us an intro.
Oh man, I didn't know how to do an intro on this thing too. Hi, I'm Ula. A lot of you know me, some of you don't. Meh. I'm now in the West. I was in Ontario for a really long time. We won't say how long. And I love both of these bitches very much.
Aww.
Super big puffy hearts for you.
I was about to say, I have little hearts somewhere around here that I can just like show on the screen.
Puffy heart. Big puffy heart.
There we go. I got it. Oh, pow!
Oh, that's sweet.
I don't know that I actually need to see that again. Damn it!
All right, so tonight's questions, we're going to start off with Helga.
So this question comes from Ghislaine. Oddest kingdom in this kingdom or another, tradition that you still can't seem to wrap your head around.
Yeah, which one of us is going first? I have to think about that.
So by the way, we didn't warn you. You go first.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So oddest tradition in any kingdom. Odd. I don't know that there are any odd ones. They all make sense for their own reasons. There's some that I certainly love more than others. You know what? I really can't think of one that I find to be odd because it all came out for a reason. So I don't have a good answer for you. Sorry, Ghislaine.
I'm about to say, I feel like that was kind of a cop-out, but I'm also having the same problem.
I know, me too. Now I'm like, well, it's all weird. That's the thing. At the end of the day, like, everything we do is really weird. So
yeah, we're a costumed cult where we actually get along and we don't drink the Kool-Aid.
You know, Jell-O Shot. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of like an odd kingdom tradition.
We may have to come back to that one. Maybe once we get a little more flow going. That was,
once we have more alcohol in our system, we'll come back to that tradition.
And then we're just
maybe we'll close out with that one and see if we've gotten any better at that.
Okay, I'm moving that one to the bottom. So Sarah, it's your turn.
Okay. Another question from Ghislaine. Do you have any SCA specific superstitions?
No. See, I'm the worst guest ever. Like, seriously, there's no superstition.
I think, like,
I would love to say that, when I give a guy a blowjob that they win crown the next day, but that's not
Hey, I know a guy.
How many data points do you have for this one?
More than I'm willing to admit.
And this is where I'm really wishing I had a dick.
That's never stopped.
Not required, you know me.
So for me, it's wearing the crown before it's yours.
Oh.
Yours.
Why would you wear it? Why?
Like you don't put another kingdom's crown on, you don't sit in those thrones. You will jinx yourself if you put that crown on your head before you have earned it.
Even
and that is a hard superstition for me.
I see what you mean. I was like, if you had, if you were about to step up, but you hadn't yet stepped up, but they want to do like
even weird
crown
for me.
fitting.
Oh,
yeah, it was even weird for me getting fitted for the crown. Before I was queen, I was like, can we just not? But it's so ingrained in me, and I actually have a story about this where the Western crown almost hit the ground because one of the kings was drunk, and he's like, at some point you're gonna wear this, and he goes, shook, and he goes to drop it on my head, and I caught it here. And I caught it while I was flat on the ground. I zipped out from under that thing so fast that I caught it, and then I was like, and I'm done. Gone. Out like a shot.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's one of my weird superstitions. Don't wear what is not yours. Because
I don't think that's a superstition. I just think that's common sense.
Yeah. I mean,
the thing is, it's a superstition in the fact that I believe if you do it, you'll never wear it.
Maybe that's my problem.
Oh, why have you... Is this a confession?
I was the regalia minister for Ontier. Yeah. And when we were refitting the crowns once and we were like jiggering around the padding, I was playing with different suspension points. So I actually put the crown on my head for about a half a second just to see where the pressure points were. So there you go.
Confirmed.
I'll never be queen anymore.
No.
Well, you'll never be queen of Ontier.
Fair.
That's true. You still have a shot here. I'd vote for you. But I think actually that's a really good one though. You don't sit in the thrones, you don't put the crown or even somebody else's coronet. I'm a baroness, I'm a court baroness, but I'm not a landed baroness. I would never presume to put that coronet on my head. Or a friend of mine, Ciela, who's a viscountess, and she has a lovely coronet, and of course I would love to wear it, but no, it's not mine to wear. And I think it's, I definitely could say that is probably one of those weird SCA specific superstitions. Yeah, it's not mine to wear.
Where did that come from?
I think we just had a bit of feedback. That's why everybody stopped talking for half a second.
That was.
All right. Let's see. Who's next?
So the next question comes from... Everybody's going to drink because Mundane name is posted up there. Emily.
I changed mine.
Asa. It's Asa.
Yeah, Asa. I can't retain more than one name on a person.
Right.
So from Asa, what is your favorite piece of art, clothing, scroll, shield, etc. you have made and why?
Ooh. That's actually a really good one because I have done a ton of random different things. The first thing that comes to mind, of course, is that pumpkin orange Lance Connect that I made. But I would actually have to say it's the two different Pell Laurel medallions that I have done carved out of moose antler for friends of mine.
Oh, neat.
For their elevations. Yeah. Because it was a new art to me and they both treasure them and wear them to this day.
Oh. Yeah. For me, it's a hard one because I've made a lot of stuff. I've made a lot of cool things. Every new costume I make is my favorite, whether it's for me or somebody else. I would have to say I'm ridiculously proud of a black damask Florentine gown that I made in 2014. And it's just fit perfectly. It was kind of just very simple, but stunning fabric. It was a black on black silk damask that I got 15 years ago in Colchester in the UK, and hoarded for at least, about 10 years. I hoarded it for about 10 years and then had 7 meters of it, decided to finally commit to a vision, and it came out perfect. And I'd say that's probably my proudest one. Yeah.
I think my current proudest one, even though every time I look at it, all I see is the errors and how I would do it again and everything else like that, is actually the cancer tournament shield that is given out every year at Estrella. That's probably 50 hours worth of work, and I learned a ton doing it. I learned so much. I would never do the shield the same way again because I learned so much doing that project. But it's also one of the biggest labors of love, and I poured a lot of loss into that shield. And I poured a lot of processing into that shield. And so it's got a heavy weighted value for me. Also, it's a pretty cool design, and it's period, and it's researched, and there's all the other shit that goes along with it. It was kind of the I'm doing a really cool thing. And so that I think right now is my favorite piece out of like a bunch of them that I've done. So.
All right, cool. Let's see. The next question is from Bethany Cole Mainville. Again, we don't have your SCA name, so I apologize. What advice would you have for those wishing to serve in higher offices?
Oh, just do it. I mean, there's no way to get in except going and doing it. And maybe start with something on a local level, but really just jump in, because this entire group runs on volunteers and we love all the volunteers. Do the thing. Just jump in and see where your strengths are and work with that. And then once you've conquered all of that, find where your weaknesses are and start working and building that up. And you're unstoppable. Just jump in and do it. You can always talk to me if you want to, somebody is interested in the service path and wants more information. I am happy to put you to work anytime. So just do it.
For me, I would say, remember you're not going to be perfect. Remember that you don't have to be perfect in the process. It's a learning process. And if anybody tells you you need to be perfect before you take a higher office, please see Exhibit A and send them to me. Like, and that's I think the thing that we forget to do for our volunteers is we forget to tell them, look, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to try and you'll learn as you go. None of us get formal training. Not a single one of us is like, there's handbooks, but then there's also like practical experience and you're not really given a lot of that. And so please don't be afraid of messing up and understand that most mess ups can be fixed. Don't touch kids, don't touch money. Those are the two rules. Don't do those two things. Beyond that, you can screw up pretty hard and it can get fixed.
True.
Murder probably also screws you up pretty bad.
Yeah, okay.
Not as much. Surprisingly.
Well, you never know, right? Yeah. Just be good. Be good, do good. Don't be an asshole. I think actually, yeah, my advice is kind of very much the same as Ula and Helga's, which is number one, yeah, just jump in. Don't wait for somebody to ask you to do something. Volunteer. And that means literally stepping up and volunteering and offering to help. And not every time people are going to take you up on it, and try not to let that discourage you. Because, you know, even though sometimes, I know this has happened to me, in the moment, I'll be like at a feast and I haven't been assigned to any particular role. I just showed up at the feast and I said to somebody running it, the feastocrat or whatever the heck we call them these days. They changed all the names on us, so I don't know anymore. But yeah, the person, the head feast steward, you know, hey, if you need any help, I'm here for you. And they don't take me up on it because their crew is handling it. Or, you know, there's a million other things that can be dealt with that I don't need to be a part of. And just not to take that as a rejection, and to take it as a, you know, next time, plan in advance, offer in advance. Next time, you know, sign up ahead of time and don't wait for people to approach you about it. That's my answer.
All right, we ready for the next question?
Yeah, let's do the next question.
Okay, I would like to note I am taking bets on the amount of soapboxes that are hit with this question. My bet is 3 are going to occur, and there might be a headset thrown by our tech crew. So, from Isa, how would you handle seeing a peer be less than heroic or flat out ill-mannered? Is it difficult for someone else who may not be a peer? Why or why not? Essentially, what is your duty here?
Duty. My duty is to nip that in the bud. Nobody should ever be an asshole, disrespectful, whatever. And if I see that, I will, and I have called people on that BS, and I will continue to do so. I don't care if it's the king, because I'm not our current king, but in the past there are kings that I've called on their shit. And it's the same thing, even if it's somebody that I don't know. It's not okay to do shit like that. So no, let's call them on it. We police our own.
Yeah, in the best of times, yeah. Sometimes we fail at policing our own. Sometimes we fail spectacularly at policing our own. And I think for those who may not be aware of the phrase, police your own is usually given to peers as a handle your peerage's shit if it gets out of hand. Step up to the plate, speak truth to power, speak truth to your fellow peers. Don't just turn a blind eye. And if somebody's egregiously acting out, absolutely call them on it. Takes a lot of bravery to do that, though. It takes a lot of, I'm not a confrontational person, but there are times where I've had to step up to that kind of thing where I had to really give voice to a problem that was a person that was acting badly. It's not pleasant, but I think that that's probably one of the greatest assets of being a peer, or I should say one of the greatest aspects of peer-like qualities is being able to have those difficult conversations with other people, peers and non-peers. But I do think that the peers should be the gatekeepers of behavior. And that's why we talk about peer-like qualities. We talk about courtesy a lot. We talk about chivalry because these are expectations that are placed on us when we're made peers. And if we fail in any way, then, but what the fuck are we doing? Like, we're not living up to our oath.
I think I'm going to be less elegant than my two counterparts this evening, which is anybody shocked? So the elegant part, I believe that my job as a peer is mediation and mitigation, as well as addressing the issue and problem in a constructive way until it becomes a threat, and then it's removing it.
Yeah.
Like,
basically.
There are certain lines where it's like, hey, you really shouldn't be doing that. Let's have a conversation. Cool. I've had a conversation with you. The behavior persists. Now we're going to have a conversation with you. The behavior persists. Awesome. Now we are going to motherfucking remove you. Mm-hmm. I believe in the first episode, I put it as, if you are acting shitty, I will shit in your shoes. Because at some point, problem solving becomes, it's actually bullying the bully. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to take on that role. And again, go through all the steps of mitigation and mediation before you hit that point. But it is my job as a knight to make sure that people feel safe. It is my job as a pelican to make sure people feel heard, and everything else like that. And what I will tell non-peers is, you don't always have to have the bravery to speak to that person. You should always have the bravery to speak to somebody in a manner that isn't bitching. It's in a manner of problem solving. Of, I have seen this behavior, I've seen this problem, I feel unsafe, there are these things going on. Can you help me address this situation? And peers, I want to be really clear too, is that's also something you should be able to do, is if you yourself do not feel safe in the situation, if you do not feel comfortable dealing with a threat, then make sure you've got people that you can go to that's not just bitching, like, oh, this person is doing this thing. Go to them. There is an issue. I have seen these patterns of behavior. They need to be addressed. I don't know how to. That is part of being a peer, is saying, I don't know how to do this, but let me figure out, like, let me get the people with the tools to deal with it. Because, well, policing your own also occasionally means getting backup from the rest of the group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So yep. I don't know if I hope that answers the question.
Quit playing with your boobs.
I'm sorry, David. Like, I realized that my tunic had like migrated over a little bit. It was like, hey, I just want this.
We weren't complaining.
I mean, yeah. But I kind
one boob wants to say hi more than the others. Other.
I knew a girl who had named her nipples or her boobs Statler and Waldorf, like two old bald men that sat in a balcony, and I was like, that's really fucking genius.
It really, it's.
I know. Why didn't I think of that?
I have never named body parts.
Yeah, right. Hey, that would be a good question.
Parts.
Oh, have you ever named your body parts? Well, you just asked it. Apparently, we're answering it now.
Yes, we're answering it now. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, wait, hang on. Have you ever named a significant other's body parts?
No.
I
like how all of us are just like,
no.
Why would you do that? Like,
no.
I don't know. You're fond of it. Well, you could be fond of like their body parts, but not them. So the body parts get a name because you're more fond of that than you are of them.
Okay, now that's fair.
Yeah.
But oh, damn it!
Lady of the Lake.
Oh, the Lady of the Lake.
That can't be because we were being too serious.
What job do you want for the zombie apocalypse? I would like to note that the Lady of the Lake says she would like to be the driver.
Okay.
The Lady of the Lake.
Well, if she's the driver, damn.
We could have two drivers. Like we could have multiple drivers. Like
I'm a gunner.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm a gunner.
I don't even know how to answer that question because I don't, zombie apocalypse stuff has never been my, like, I'm too worried about the real apocalypse actually happening to sit there and be like, oh, if only fake creatures would come out of the earth from their graves and attack, and then we could have a thing we could all unify around. Like, what? No, zombie thing never really was my jam. So I'd probably be the person sitting in the back being like,
She'd be the designated drink mixer of like we'd have the zombie
I would be making
things. You'd be like,
I'd be making
like a gin and tonic or from 75.
We absolutely need a bartender. You're
right. Yeah, I'll be a bartender, exactly.
I'll shoot people and you'll make drinks.
We need a raid. We're out of booze.
Yeah, well, we need to set up like, kind of a compound around like a Total Wine or a Bevmo or something.
Actually, amusingly enough, those buildings are not bad buildings to use as compounds because they're not heavy windowed buildings. They also have really heavy duty security doors.
They're concrete.
Amusingly enough, alcohol and gun stores, those are the two stores to just take over because they're actually built to survive an assault.
Yep.
Shit, I'm trying to think of like what I would be. I'd probably just fill in, really, like wherever it was, because I could be a gunner or a driver or a sheep herder for all I give a fuck. Like,
as long as I'm still surviving, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just going to like do whatever job needs to get done. I'd probably end up like head cat herder, where I'd be like, what are your skills? Awesome. This is where you go in the spreadsheet. You go do this. No, don't touch that. No. I love that you think that you have the skills to survive this on your own, but you don't, sweetheart. So we're assigning you a job. Now please go rake the leaves.
Yeah, I could see that. You're also the first one that will go out in a blaze of fiery glory or routinely attempt to. And then there will be bitches like me holding you back the whole time. Like, it's not worth it. Don't kill yourself over there.
Yeah.
Here, have another cocktail.
I need you to sit down and have another cocktail.
Yeah, just sit, take a breather. Yeah. No.
All right, so are we ready for the next question?
That is, yep, we are. And actually, this question is my question that I felt like throwing in here. Is mundane a dirty word? Or like an offensive word or something?
Yeah, it's not offensive, but it's kind of stupid.
I think mundane is our version of Karen.
Yeah.
It's like muggle.
But it's not everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I also don't agree with calling children smalls and gate troll and cars dragons because that's just fucking daft.
If she had headphones, they would have been thrown right now.
I don't get it. I don't get it. So when I have the discussion, it's the difference between modern and SCA or modern and garb. If you're talking, costuming or something like that, like it's not mundane. I don't know. I've always thought mundane was just kind of a stupid phrase. That's how I have it.
So mundane for me is like that. Like it's mundane, so it's plain, or it's out of like it's like doing the dishes is mundane. Like all those things are mundane, so it's the normal course of action. But occasionally I use it like Karen, and I'm sorry for all the Karens out there in the world. It's
Poor
just
Karen.
Like occasionally you're like, oh man, like I'll be like, if I call something mundane, I'm like, do I need to see your manager about this? Because
yeah,
I'm
not the see your manager kind of person.
You know, it's funny actually. One a thought process, probably another good question actually is there an SCA equivalent name for Karen? I've thought a lot about this, and then I was like, that could just lead into all sorts of really hurt feelings.
Let's not go down that path. Let's just avoid that completely.
But I was going to say though, so I remember, you know, I grew up like all of us, you know, the three of us, we all have been in the SCA for over 2 decades, verging on 3 decades in my case, and I believe Ula, you're also pushing that 30-year, aren't you?
I am at 35.
35. Okay, yeah.
I'm
So
36 this summer.
yeah,
Am
it's
I
like
the young pup here?
yeah, at like
In
only
more ways than one, sweetheart.
but I think it's one of these things that when you grow up with the vernacular of the SCA that just sort of gets downloaded into your, you know, synapses, it's really hard to get rid of it. So that's why, you know, it's hard for us, or me, I should say, like people probably of my generation, to make the code switch from autocrat to event steward, or Eric to list field. Like I still had to search for it. Like I had to search the brain. I'm like, okay, I know Eric is there, but list field is going to take me a little bit longer. And mundane was one of those things that, you know, very early on, you become exposed to this concept of there's the dream, the SCA world, and the mundane world, the everyday real life bullshit that you deal with. And the SCA is where you come to, you know, kind of live your fantasy of who your best self is. At least that's my sort of hyper reductive version of it. But years ago, this was actually probably 10-15 years ago, I actually used the word mundane in front of somebody, and I think I was referring to myself. Like I was like, I'm going to go change into mundanes, and somebody literally dressed me down for using the word and said that it was an offensive term and that it was, you know, like it was insulting. Nothing I do is mundane in the world, you know, real world or SCA world. I'm fabulous, you know, like literally that's I think what this person had told me. And
I'm
so
sorry,
it's always
dishes are mundane as fuck.
yeah, I'm like,
Right.
I am fabulous in the SCA and out of the SCA. And even I say that like my modern life is nowhere near as fabulous as my SCA life. And so I'm under no pretenses about the everyday grind of mundanity that is paying the bills and cleaning the toilet and, you know, all that stuff. And if I talk about
my nice garb to clean the toilet,
yeah, I wear my coronet while I do the dishes. You know, it makes me
I'd be
feel
so worried it would fall off and just be like plunk.
But and there's times I do that, you know, I need a little pick me up, so I put on the pretty coronet and I like go and I do my little chores and stuff. But it's not to me, mundane is just it's a code word for different than the SCA world. And
Classism.
It's what?
It's classism.
Classism.
It's a form of classism. It's an othering, right? It's them versus us. It totally is.
No, but
I think that goes into context, just like the whole.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is I'm applying that to me. I'm not applying that to anyone else. I'm saying that there's a division between my life in the SCA and the life in the real world. I don't look at people that I, you know, encounter in the real world and think mundanes, or, you know, what I do is I talk about like my mundane life. My mundane life, I'm a legal assistant and I wear stretch pants and those are my mundane clothes and like, you know, that kind of thing. Like it's not me saying you suck, person who's not in the SCA.
Fair.
But I have
seen it that way. I've heard.
You know, I have heard it used that way. So I don't know. Maybe
when people use it that way, though, they could be like, "Oh, you're a shoe," and it's just like it's how they bring it across. You're like, "Okay, shoe is now an offensive word because you have made an offensive word in this moment in time. Now we fight."
Right.
You know, and so I think that's where it comes down to. I don't see mundane as a bad word because I use it all the time. Like, and again, I may be totally wrong. Like, I will open up the gates for I may be totally wrong, and it may be the fact that I'm used to the word, but I don't like call somebody like, "Oh, you're so mundane." Like,
I mean, unless you're like, how droll, how mundane, you know. Like,
I was about to say, can you really see me like kicking off that accent with anybody?
I have. But yeah, I think it's one of those weird little SCA-isms that maybe it is in how you use it, or how you define it. If it's an othering sort of situation, like those idiots who aren't in the SCA, like, come on, we're ridiculous. We look at this, look at all of this. This is ridiculous. Like, let's have
By the way,
breaks into-
100% you guys need to read the comments on this one. Like,
I am.
I can't read and talk at the same time. Sorry, there's a whole thing. All right.
I'm trying to read it. I have my glasses on. I'm now blind as a bat. So
Yeah.
Oh, total segue on the glasses thing. I was such an asshole. Hans was drink. Hans was teaching a class last night, and I printed him out like the class handout that he made so he could read over it. And I handed it to him. I'm like, it's only in 12-point font. Are you sure you don't need your glasses for that? I swear, like I almost died. I almost was not on the show.
That's just rude.
Yeah, I'm okay. I am reading the comments, and I know Duke Fleeg is weighing in on the the proper term for the list field is the list field. Yes, Your Grace, absolutely it is. But my original point was, and I'm no doubt you understand as well, having been in this game as long as you have, since day one, that these words became culturally significant, and they're really hard to just get out of your brain when you become used to using those code words. And that's not to say that, that I'm resistant to using the word Eric instead of list field, or I do hate the term smalls. That's underwear.
Underwear.
That's a term for underwear. They're not children.
Wait,
They're
what?
children.
You call underwear
Children.
smalls?
Smalls is
It's
the period term for underwear.
Yeah, your small
Yes.
clothes. It's
Small
your small
clothes. It's the little
Yeah.
clothes.
Your small clothes. So it is. There's and like the far speaker and the dragon and all that stuff. It's cheesy SCA stuff, but it is kind of also part of what I love about the SCA in a weird way. So yeah, sentimental value, I guess. I don't know. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's hard to use the actual word when the SCA term is more engraved into my little gray cells.
I will always struggle with autocrat versus event steward.
I know that was a real actual new one. I think the West Kingdom was one of the last kingdoms to really push to change to event steward. There was a whole push in the last few years of kind of what's the word, getting everybody using the same terms for these different roles. And the West really had a hard time getting rid of autocrat, and it was like a yes. And Helga, who was there probably on the throne when all of this happened.
I was.
Everybody drink.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
But to bring it into
so we're
alignment.
developing a drinking game for the show. Rule 1 is if somebody drops a mundane name, drink. Rule 2.
You said the M word.
What was that?
You said the M word, mundane.
Real name? I don't know. What? Like I only have mundane. Okay. Your non-persona name. Fuck.
Yeah.
Drink. And you guys may join us too, because this is how I got wrecked last show.
Oh my god, I was so trashed last show.
Oh, so was I. Like when I curled up in bed, I was just like, I need the world to stop spinning.
I spilled a Manhattan all over my keyboard, for fuck's sake. The thing doesn't work anymore.
But either way, so rule 1, mundane name is dropped, or non-period or non-persona name is dropped, drink. Rule number 2, if somebody says, when I was last on throne, or when I was a baby peer, that's another drink. We've only come up with those 2 rules so far, so audience, please help us develop this drinking game so you can all get trashed with us. Are we ready for the next question, since we rambled on this one for like 10 minutes?
Have anything else to add to this?
No.
Actually turned out a really interesting conversation. Okay, we're moving on. I think
so
here.
Question 7 comes from Kate Ryder. Why did you want to be a peer, and did you live up to your own expectations?
Ooh, damn.
Throw down.
Damn. That's an amazingly good question. Why did I want to become a peer? Yeah, shit, I don't know. It wasn't necessarily that I wanted to become a peer. I did a thing for a long time, and I could see the mechanics working in the kind of the outfield and knew that it was coming. It wasn't the same thing as wanting it. Like I wasn't surprised, but it wasn't that I was reaching to attain that thing. And I've already forgotten the second half of that question.
Did you live up to your own expectations?
Ooh, Sometimes yes, not all the time at all. You know, it was one of those things that I thought I was totally prepared for. And then when the offer actually came in and I like lost my shit on a very good dear friend of mine. And I'm like, you know, I'll never be able to do this. This is stupid. I'm going to decline it. And anyway, you know, I think it's something that pretty much every person that's offered a peerage goes through. And there are absolutely times where I am a shiny example of a peer. And there are times when I am not. That calling people on their bullshit, I get called on mine too, right? So it's just, sometimes I do. I try to, but not always. And so when I don't, call me on my bullshit.
I will always call you on your bullshit, Ula.
I know you will, honey.
I love you that much.
Oh, I know.
It's like when you've got like your pantyhose tucked into your skirt, you know, or your skirt tucked into your pantyhose. I'll absolutely tell you your ass is hanging out.
If I got spinach in my teeth, just let me know. Like, I may not know.
Which, by the way, I've actually done for gentlemen in the SCA who aren't used to wearing tights, and they use the facilities that they come out with their tunics tucked into their tights. I am like, oh honey, stop, just pull it out, and nobody look. I have legitimately done that for a fellow or two who are also very grateful. But
oh yeah,
sisterhood, we're looking out for each other.
Exactly.
Is that me now? I have to answer.
Yep, that's you.
Okay. What was it again? Not looking at the feet. Why did
you want to be a peer, and did you live up to your expectations?
So my first day in the SCA, my very first event, I looked around and saw that there were these really amazingly dressed people that were called Laurels. And I was like, I want to be that. That's what I'm gonna do. One day I'm gonna just throw my little heart at it and my little soul and my little skills, and I'm gonna do that. It took a long time. It took a lot longer than I thought was probably necessary, but that's because I was on the outside, not knowing what was happening in the inside of the council. And of course it felt like a fucking eternity. And there was a lot of stuff that kind of happened around that. It was a growth process. It was teaching me patience and
growth process trademarked.
Yeah. But just because you think you're ready doesn't mean you really are ready. So I was the poster child for I think I'm ready. What the hell? Like, why doesn't anybody else realize my greatness? I don't think it delayed me, but I think it definitely made it a little more difficult for me. Yeah. In retrospect, I'm like, oh my God, I should have just kept doing what I was doing. I was fine. Like it was exactly what they were telling me the whole time. Yes, Mama Juana, you were right. My Laurel.
Juana is often right.
Oh, she's not always. There were times I disagree with things, but she's mostly right on the nose with her assessment. But let's see. The second part of that question was, so I always knew I wanted to be a Laurel, not any specific peer thing. I wanted to be a Laurel. Did it live up to my expectations? No. I think I had I was operating under the belief that, once you become a peer, all your problems magically disappear and everybody respects you and everybody just, sunshine and roses. Yeah. And even though people told me that's not really how it works. And I was like, no, it's going to be like glorious sunshine every day. And then I get on the other side of it and I'm like, oh God, this is a lot of bullshit and it's not fun. And there's a lot of not fun about it. And it's a job. It is absolutely a job. It's not a picnic. It's kind of really, a lot of aspects of it are very difficult, very emotionally laboring. And I think, that was, once I got on the other side of that fence, I realized it was not all it was cracked up to be, but it was also really wonderful. And it's wonderful to be in a position where I can help and teach and speak and nurture I could do all those things before I was a peer, and I did all those things before I was a peer, but it's actually a lot easier when you're a peer because you kind of get that like stamp of approval, and it gets a little bit easier for you to kind of move through the society. And that's a wonderful thing about it, is just not having to have that. I have to prove myself every single time I open my mouth, like I did before I was Laurel, and I would challenge somebody who was knowledgeable in this, or in an area that I was knowledgeable in, but they didn't want to listen to me and thought that I was wrong because I wasn't a Laurel. So there was always that like blockade there, and to have that removed and to have just kind of an automatic like, oh, she's a Laurel, she knows what she's talking about. It did make things easier. So yeah, it's a bit of both, you know, good and bad.
So my answer to this is hell yeah, I always wanted to be a knight. Like, I beat the shit out of my friends with sticks since as I was like old enough to toddle around and pick up a stick. We played knights and saving whatever way more often than not. Like, my friends probably got tired of it. And so when I found the SCA, I was like, I have found the Holy Grail. I want this. And there's a lot of like learning upon that journey. So we'll start with the first one, actually. Did I want to be a pelican? Ish, not really. It was, so my pelican is very accidental. I actually got my pelican in rage and in telling the establishment to go fuck itself. Because I actually,
if I'd known that was an option.
I was like, that's a strategy that doesn't often work for most people. So
no, it doesn't. And luckily, I'm a charismatic guy.
Actually, mine might have had something to do with that too.
And so I got my pelican happened likely because I was already kind of on the path because I'm like a helpy personality anyways. But then I broke my shoulder. I don't know if you guys can see the big ass scar that's there. And then I broke my elbow, and then 5 surgeries and $50,000 worth of debt, and not being able to touch my own face. I watched the fighting community like falling apart, and everybody bitching that nobody was talking. And so I was like, well, I'm living on a couch and doing nothing, and understand social media, unlike the knights. Okay. And so I proceeded to build events and do other things and try to make stuff happen and move it forward, because it was literally what I poured my heart and soul into to like beat depression. And so my pelican is also possibly in like beating depression. And now I try to just continue to maintain like and continue to give to the society and continue to work and earn it every day, because I don't want to just sit on the sidelines and I've done a thing and move on. Knighthood, on the other hand, like I wanted that. Like, I wanted to get good enough, and amusingly enough, all these accidents was probably the best thing ever for my path towards knighthood, because I gave up. I gave up wanting, I gave up thinking that I was ever going to make it. I got told by a group of knights, large group of people that are all supposedly my heroes, oh, we're never going to vote for you because you chose to be broken.
Oh, that is such bullshit.
This is my face of, I'm
great though.
pretty sure I know who
this is where spite sprinkles comes in. Like, I would like to note, you take your drink, you put little spite sprinkles in it, and then you get a riot. Or Helga, drink.
Oh, that was the other thing. Meg actually mentioned that the other rule for drinking should be anytime one of us says, in the West, ... 100%.
I should drink on tier also.
Rule accepted. And so it was actually probably the best thing for my path, because I gave up completely. Like, the dream was shattered for me on that path. And then apparently I made it anyways, because I came back and I learned actually how to throw proper mechanics, and I trained to get back to be able to have my arm back again, because my surgeon told me I'd never touch my face again and I would never put my arm over my head. They flat out told me, you're crippled for the rest of your life. Would you like your little parking placard? So don't follow my example, let go of the horse.
Always let go of the horse.
Always let go of the horse.
You know better.
Yeah. And so did I want it? Oh, hell yeah, I wanted it. Like, they're my idolized heroes. I've played at it for years. Eventually I let go of the path though. And now that I'm here, did it live up to my expectations? Being a pal, totally live up to my expectations. 100% understood that you take a bunch of people-pleasing A-type personalities that all run their spreadsheets differently, and you put them in a single group and expect them to discuss anything with the same level of understanding. Nah, not gonna happen. So like, it wasn't shocking the first time I was like, oh, nobody really agrees how to run anything. Okay, cool. Like, moving on.
That means you can do it however you want. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Becoming a knight, I wish it lived up to my expectations. And luckily, I was a pal before I was a knight, so it was like already blow soft.
For like a hot second.
A peer doesn't solve shit for you.
Right? For what was that? 2.5 months or something?
I know, right? So Helga is literally like the West Kingdom's own baby. Not saying that as a bad thing, sweetheart, but I'm just saying you are a 1 in 1,000.
You are loved and adored.
And the fact that, you know, she got Pelican. Princess of the Mist, right? And then Pelican, and then knighthood, and then queen. And it's like, you just, you know, watching you just sort of.
It was offered Pelican, princess.
Yeah.
Or offered Pelican, princess, stepped down. Then Josh turned around and proposed marriage.
Right. That's right.
Marriage. Sorry, have a drink. Proposed 1 crown.
Yeah.
I was offered knighthood the day we stepped down the first time. I was knighted. He won crown again.
Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, go you, man.
Cool. Don't do that. Like,
yeah,
I'll tell you, like, man, you got the fast track for everything. I'm like, apparently I just like backlogged everything. I was putting like stat points in multiple jars, and then I topped them all off at once. Not a great idea.
Like a layaway plan on a bunch of shit.
And it's really interesting. It's actually really interesting because you do hear this is a slight segue off of it, is that you hear a lot of times, especially in council, like somebody's been reigning and they're like, well, we don't want to offer that person the whatever peerage because they're still on the throne, blah blah blah. And it's like, so it kind of like sets you back. You're always expected, like, if you're, or I should say, it's an expectation that if you reign and you're in, you know, close consideration, that it's going to be another like 6 months to a year before you get offered. And then Araya, I just said it. Helga is the exception that proves the rule.
Right? Oh, my fan boy isn't back yet.
Anyway. So, well, and also I was being vetted really, really hard as queen. So my first reign did a lot of burnout. Because all the knights and their brothers were just like, it was really obvious what was going on. I was kicked out of knights councils as princess.
Yeah.
Like, it was super obvious what was going on. And it was.
I have opinions.
Let me give you the thing though. It was some of the coolest moments of my SCA career. Yeah. Like, super, like, if I could have that time back in my life, I would. I never had to ask for a pickup fight. I didn't, like, I always had pickup fights, and I always had pickup fights with the biggest dogs available. Like, I didn't have to go wait in line to go fight Duke so-and-so. Like, Duke so-and-so showed up and was like, I brought you a beer and also an ass kicking. And so we would like have the ass kicking and I would have the beer, and then the next one would show up and I'd be like, did you bring a beer for the ass kicking? Great, let's go. And so it's literally probably being vetted unbelt was just one of the coolest moments that I've ever had in my life. It's like being the high school quarterback, like, and all the recruiters are looking at you, and like the college people are talking to you, and you're like, man, I am on the top of the world. This is great. You get knighted, that goes away instantaneously. Like, you get slapped.
Oh my God. It's like, what did I once described it as, when you get your peerage, it's basically like a big ice bucket dumped on your head. Like, hey, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Sucks to be you. Circle, whether you wanted to be there or not.
Yeah.
And so the knighthood itself didn't live up to my expectations, because this is actually, like, we're going to roll right back to this, and then we can roll to the next question because we've lingered on this one for a while. Is I realized in the moment how insular my group of knights had been. I got raised with a very, very high-end group of knights that take the oath very seriously. And so my knight would routinely say, you find out if you're a knight at 3 a.m. at 7-Eleven when somebody's in trouble. When you don't have to do the right thing, you still choose to do the right thing. Very Paladin-esque. And because I was raised in a group of knights like that, when I got exposed to the broader base of knights out there, congratulations, World Wide Web, I realized how insular I had been raised and how unique that actually is and how spoiled I was in the process. And so it's something that I try to impart to my students of like, look, you're going to be a part of this group, and this group is actually very weird and not the norm. So don't think it's the norm, because I did, and that broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Still don't regret it. All right, we ready for the next one?
Yeah. Next question. This one's from Athanric. Once you hit your big milestones, peerage, crown, etc., what keeps you engaged? I think this is a pretty good segue from that topic onto this one.
Actually, nicely done, lining those out.
Yeah. Well, I think that was
y'all know what you're doing here.
That was probably Helga. She's the one who usually like zhuzhes all of these. Our little organizational Muppet. She's Scooter, by the way. She's 100% Scooter.
Yeah. Scooter.
You know, the one who, the stage manager.
With the green, honey.
Oh
okay,
my God.
What reference is this from?
The Muppet Show.
The Muppet Show. Scooter was the one that would run around being like, 5 minutes to curtain, Mr. the Frog. Like,
oh, okay. I'm sorry. It's like I'm millennial generation.
How can you be Danger Muppet if you don't know the Muppets? I'm gonna yank your card.
I don't know names.
Denied.
I'm gonna go put on my Muppet stole.
Oh, you should go put your Muppet stole on. But no, let's answer this question.
Okay.
Oh, right. The question.
Right, the question. Ula, go.
Oh, right. So I have to read it on the YouTube because I've already forgotten the question. Once you hit your milestone, what keeps you engaged? There's always other milestones. Like whatever your end goal is, if that is truly your true end goal, then you're doing it wrong. Like there's always something beyond that. But really it's the people that keep me engaged. I would not do any of this bullshit if it wasn't for the people. I would be happily just holed up on my little piece of property with my livestock and my guy. And, you know, this quarantine thing has been awesome because I don't have to go anywhere. But it's the peerage is not the end. What keeps me engaged is just coming back, doing it again and again, getting more people excited and involved with whatever is carrying me along at the moment. And if I get bored with something, A, it's really obvious because I just kind of drop the ball. And B, I just go find something else. There are so many things in this world to keep us engaged. I think my personal opinion is if someone is bored, they're doing it wrong. So, and come talk to me. I can find you something to do.
Oh yeah,
I feel like a recruiting poster.
I was like, no, I heard like the parental. Oh, you're bored? Well, I'll give you something to do.
Well, I will pull out the mom voice at the drop of a hat.
Helga?
So what keeps me engaged? One, spite sprinkles. That still keeps me engaged. I've got a lot more work to do. But actually, to kind of go back to the last one, what keeps me really engaged is one, students, the next generation. I'm very, very spoiled with my two proteges. They are, they're like savants for our damn game, and I absolutely adore both of them. And they do nothing but good work. If anything, I'm gonna have to like yell at them to stop doing.
So sing their praises. Who are your proteges?
Eva and Demir.
Oh. Nice.
Demir's a co.
Yeah.
But and then I have a group of not my squires, where they're squired to other people around the known world. And these people are my absolute delight, and I would bleed for them. But they came to me, most of them came to me in a time of trouble. So I had a really tumultuous like last end of my path. And so people will be like, hey, so we need you to talk to them about like being an angry unbelt, because my angry unbelt phase wasn't I'm owed anything.
Your angry unbelt phase was kind of epic.
My angry unbelt phase, like I never felt owed knighthood. I actually to be very, very open, I actually have the letter written to the bod to give my belt back. I constantly feel like I am not worthy of being chivalry, or being a member of the order. I feel that I fail it a lot, and I feel that I am not what it should embody. And so every day I challenge myself to wake up and be the knight that I want to be. And that's actually where this question's going for me, is because of my students and because of the next generation. I want them to meet chivalry like I was raised with. I want them to meet those people, and I want them to be able to look at their knights and say, fuck, because you're being that good person inside the game and outside the game. I want to fix my problems. I want to learn how to mediate. I want to learn how to be brave when I'm afraid. I want to learn how to express my feelings and doubts and fears and have a conversation about them instead of acting them out in some toxic fucking way. And so because of all that, I've never sent that letter in. And because of them, I've never sent that letter in, because if I give up, if I stop, I fail them. Yeah. And so the milestone of becoming a peer is almost meaningless unless you continue to give. And so I may not be the best stick on the planet. I may never be a duchess by my own hand. But I'll be goddamned if my students are left out. Mm-hmm. And I will fight tooth and nail to make sure that there's a better SCA for the next generation, because this game actually saved my life at one point. And I'm not making that up. We can talk about it offline if you guys want to, or anybody on this messenger can message me about it. But the SCA saved my life because it was one of the only places that I had where I could be a better me versus what I was raised to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's the heavy-handed version of that. Somebody should totally lighten up this conversation now.
Well, I still have to give my answer, but I'm probably not going to make it too light. But I'm probably not going to be that heavy. So when I hit my big milestone, I hit my peerage. I totally did have the peerage crisis of, you got the thing. Now what? And it took a while. And actually, what it was, funnily enough, what started me coming out of my I'm adrift. I don't know what my purpose is anymore because I have the thing I've always striven for. Sorry, I watched Olivier's Henry V the other day, and everything is very full of drama and talking like this. Anyway, but I think what actually helped me was when Thorfinn started fighting for me, and this is before we were a couple. This was when we were still just buddies. And I realized really quickly that there was kind of a level of the SCA that I'd never engaged in. And that was this level, the have a chance to really have an effect on people in a big way, not just in a I have a small group of people that I affect, and that ripples out and everything, but to be able to actually have a big enough megaphone that it reaches far corners. And that really was kind of a wake-up call for me, because then I realized, he or I am someone that is innately just wants to help people, just wants to make sure everybody feels seen, just wants to make sure everybody feels valued. And I fail at it constantly. I am by no means great at this job that I'm just now trying to figure out. But one of the things that I looked at when Thorfinn started fighting for me, and then going forward from that, was I had the ability at that point to have a bigger effect of making people feel seen, making people feel valued, making people heard, give them voice, or give them a megaphone for them to speak, that kind of a thing. And that kind of rejuvenated me. I was not expecting that, because I'm a goal-oriented person. I got my goal, I achieved my thing, got my diploma, graduated, but what comes after that? Well, it's what you do with all of those skills, and it's what you do with all of that knowledge past that point that kind of, that's what you should be focusing on past peerage, past getting the thing. And so, yeah, it was hard for me. And I'm still not great at it. There's a lot of ways that I still feel like I'm adrift, and I really don't have an anchor point right now. And I feel like I'll probably figure it out.
Actually inspire me to be a Laurel, so...
What?
Like, yeah.
No.
I'm just gonna be super open and honest. I totally want to get all the box tops. Like, I don't want it like to be a checkbox thing, and I realize that I need to apply myself to be a Laurel, and there's research and paper writing and all that.
There's no paper writing.
I'm still not over my college degrees to like hit that point in my life yet. But you keep reminding me that it's a worthy goal, and that's also one of the things. Soapbox, calling it. Ugh.
By the way, we're going to go over a few minutes.
Yeah, thanks.
Here's my soapbox moment for the night.
It's all very flexible here.
The tech crew, like, yeah, all right.
The tech crew totally knows this is going on.
I know.
Yeah.
It is okay to want a peerage.
Yes.
It is okay to seek.
Testify.
Testify.
Anybody that tells you that it is wrong is actually not articulating their boundaries well enough.
I almost jumped on that when you were talking about knighthood, because knighthood is the only one that it is okay to want to have.
And so I'm going to say,
loudly
if you want to be a pelican, it's okay to want to be a mod. It's okay to want to be a laurel. It's okay to want to be queen. It's okay to want to be a baron or baroness. You want to know why? Because you will apply and learn what it needs to take to be that thing. If you think that it's just going to happen somewhere magically and you just have to not want it and go from there and just be some fluttering fucking thing, you're totally out of your game. Like, it is okay to seek a peerage. Do not be attached to the outcome. That's where people go wrong. They get attached to, I've checked all these boxes. Why the fuck don't I have this? Well, maybe because you haven't applied all the lessons and internalized them yet, and that's what they're waiting for. So, seek whatever you want in this game. Seek being a queen, doing whatever you want. But you need to not be attached to the outcome, and you need to not punish the people around you when you don't have the cookie.
Yep.
Maybe
you
haven't completely figured it out yet, and that's okay. Talk to your peers. Find the peers that can articulate it to you. Not afraid.
Can I just, you said talk to your peers. I'm like, talk to what? Here's the thing. Sometimes you may not
like to know the lady of the lake just brought
that scooter. Yes. But
you, lady of the lake.
I believe
that's our dear Countess Alice.
Alice, I love you, sweetheart.
Oh, okay. Well, I had a really good point, but I guess
I had a point about
non-SCA. The drinking game. When I was on the throne, when I was a baby peer, pulls out. You forgot. Where's the West? Oh, it's down there. It's number 5 in the West. Dot. Okay.
I would like to know the Lady of the Lake is the best character on this show.
She really is.
She really is.
I think she actually kind of makes the show elevates it.
Yeah, agreed.
This is now going on my desk, so I can never, ever forget again.
So
girl, you need to go on fucking YouTube and watch some Muppets. But, okay.
I love you. You're amazing.
I was about to make a really great point, which is, if you can't talk to your peer, talk to a peer you trust.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody.
Or if you don't have a peer, talk to a peer that you trust. It doesn't have to be the same order.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. And it's not to say that you can't trust. Okay, so this is something that I do understand, that this is the thing. The Laurel, or I'm talking Laurel in my case, Laurel apprentice relationship is, and I'm sure it's the same for proteges and squires and students, is that it's a very emotionally fraught kind of a relationship, not in a bad way.
Can be.
At least it shouldn't be. But it is emotionally fraught. And there are things that, like your parents, you can't come to your parents and tell them about the time you lost your virginity because they're going to freak out, right? But you can go to your, like cool auntie who is hip and knows things, and you can tell her that you're having these struggles that maybe you can't tell your parents. And that's why I feel like it's really important to have a peer kind of family, just a core group of people that who are on the other side of whatever fence you want to get onto, the other side of, that you can actually be honest with and candid with. And it's very vulnerable. You open yourself very deeply to this stuff when you're a candidate or an apprentice, Laurel, protege, whatever. Apprentice, protege, whatever. Ula. Sorry.
I got on the wrong one for which is the soapbox.
Maybe this. So, and it's not just. I'm just going to speak for for myself here. I am a peer. I'm a pelican, and yet I aspire to be a laurel. I have, I have conversations along those regards, and I have several friends that are close to me that are laurels that I trust, that I go to for their input and their opinions. And it's not just peers is not, that's not right, but non-peers, that's where I'm headed. It's not just non-peers that may need guidance. As a peer myself, I also reach out to other peers for guidance, and whether that's laurels. When I was still fighting actively, I worked with knights, and I actually reach out to other pelicans too when I need help or resources. So it's all a big tribe and all a big family.
It takes a village.
It does take a village.
Yeah. I'm typing something too.
I know,
I'm like, now I'm reading the comments, and I'm like, everybody's like, this is the hard part, trying to like talk and type at the same time.
Talk and type at the same time.
Everybody's okay with us continuing to go. We have 2 more fun questions.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, bring it. I'm not going anywhere. I live here.
So one, I have a comment about the first question of like oddest kingdom tradition, and I actually figured mine out.
Oh.
I do not understand closed lists.
Oh, yes.
So I don't, and here's the thing, I understand kingdom specific lists and accept kingdom specific lists. So closed lists to outside kingdom fighters.
Yes.
I totally get that.
Yes.
I do not understand the concept of vetting letters.
Invitational lists.
Yeah. So So I don't understand crown lists that are invitational lists.
I don't get invitational lists at all, and it makes me mad.
It makes me lose my mind. I'm just like, a crown list should have all of
the people.
I don't care if that fighter that is in the list doesn't politically agree with you.
Right.
That is part of the reason why we need that, is so it doesn't become stagnant in your
camp. Can you really call yourself crown of wherever the fuck when there were only 10 people in the list? Really? There's more than that.
I even get small lists. Like, I'm fine with small lists, but when you make a small list,
minimize it, no. It's a minimalization thing.
I'm so Western in that. It's like giantly Western.
And you know what? It's the us versus them thing.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It's a you're not good enough to be here. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
So, I want to hold my comment until we manage to get Thorfinn on here.
No, and that's the reason why I also made that. I'm perfectly fine with kingdom specific lists. Like, you have to live there for a year or anything else like that.
I'm actually okay with that. Having traveled a bit and also had people that are either new to kingdom or not living in the kingdom, reign in a kingdom that I'm in, that maybe they don't get the history, the culture. Like, there are cultural differences.
It's a culture.
Kingdoms.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's a really emotionally charged conversation.
And you gotta have some knowledge and experience, but the people, the better.
I think wacky kingdom traditions. I go back to it's all wacky. Like, on a fundamental level, it is.
Totally agreed. I just realized it, like,
wacky as fuck.
I might have one now.
Oh, okay, Ula.
Now that we're talking about kingdom lists,
yes,
I actually have an issue. I'm gonna flat out say that I have an issue with crown lists where not everyone is a contender.
How so? Okay, describe what you mean.
The crucible lists.
Oh,
the Wests are known to do.
You know why I don't like Crucible? Because I have no fucking idea what's going on.
Well, I don't mind it from a, more fighters, more better. I love that part of it. But if you don't intend to reign, you best not be entering that list.
Right. No, 100%.
Well, and not knowing who's in it to win it and who's that's just, honestly, the Crucible lists that I've seen in the West make me just bad.
That's a really recent
out of the side of my head.
I'm sure some old timer's going to come out of the woodwork and tell me I'm wrong about this, but it's a pretty recent thing in the West. It was only within the last 10 years that they started doing, and it became over from I think the East Kingdom. It was not naming names.
It just, I don't like it. Oh, there's so many comments on the thing now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because I'm one of these people that I'm like, I'm open to new things, pew pew. And then Crucible lists happen and I'm like, this is some fuckery. I don't understand. Like, none of it. I don't get it.
Don't enter the list if you don't intend to finish the job.
Exactly. Well, and you could go back to things like competitions. Like I'm thinking, like Bardic competitions where you have auditors. And you don't have people that are competing. You just have people that want to perform. So they're not actually entering. They're just there for the captive audience. And I'm like, as a former bard of an office of a principality, I'm like, no, if you're gonna go through all the fucking effort, like commit. Commit to it.
I'm sorry. As a fighter, I love Crucible lists where I'm just like, I don't have to worry about my husband having a dumb day.
Well, that is true. Yeah, it does kind of redistribute.
I just, if you're in it, you're in it to win it. I just don't like
I agree with Ula.
Sorry. I'm sure I'll get shit for that later, but I just.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, there you have it.
So.
Okay, on to the fun questions now that we've had.
Those weren't fun.
Those were brilliant. Oh,
this one's good.
Oh my God!
It's shown a couple times this show. What personality trait has gotten you in the most trouble?
Oh, my flirtatiousness, no doubt.
Really?
Oh,
no, really?
Oh, I have gotten myself into some. Well, trait or my mouth. I mean, not in the same way, but no, I say shit and then think about it like 30 seconds after it's come out of my mouth. That's probably the thing that gets me into the biggest trouble because my filter is like thinner than a coffee filter. It's just, I got nothing. And
a gauze. Wafty
gauze. Yeah, like here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I have
not keep
zero filters. So I say whatever comes to the tippy top of my brain, which is not always the nicest thing. And hence I've been called on my bullshit. Yeah, because I just say whatever happens to be going between there and there at the time. Always gets me in trouble.
Oh, did you wish to go before
the thing that gets me in trouble is, again, I have very nominal filters. Like they're just the barest suggestion of a filter, which is funny because people think that I'm like, this is very proper and it's, Tulia cannot possibly be opinionated or offensive in any way. It's like, you don't know me. Like you haven't gotten close enough to me. Clearly, if you're within like my voice range, you know that I am literally like a big fucking sassy ball of rage all the time. And we'll be happy to tell everybody about it because I'm an open book. But what's the question again? Oh, personality trait. Okay, so I also have a really, really bad memory. I have ADHD, like, whoa. And like the more I drink, the less I remember. So my personality trait that's it's got me the most in trouble. I'm a sassy opinionated. I am Elizabeth Bennet, goddammit, from Pride and Prejudice. That's what I was raised to be. Headstrong, obstinate girl.
Oh, goodness.
Like that's me. I'm the one that's going to stand up and be like, hang on a second, you're full of shit. And that, oftentimes does not really work out for me very well. If I have a thought or a feeling, especially a feeling, if I've got a feeling about a thing and I break out like my little, like I
love you, but you have the feels.
I have all the feels. I have
all my share of feels.
Oh my God, I've got so many feels. I have worked on it. In fact, the feels thankfully have diminished somewhat over the years. I'm hoping by the time I'm like 70, I'll be down to like a minimum amount of feels. But yeah, each decade they decrease a little bit more. But I get awfully feely, and it's very. when I get feely, I get prone to speaking my mind about things, and that gets me in trouble. Open my mouth and I have opinions, and people are like, you're full of shit, Tulia, you know, or you're thinking about this wrong, Tulia, or whatever. You know what? I'm also really, really good at writing and giving apologies. I am ridiculously good at apologizing. So if I step out of line,
and the next time I need an apology, I'll just like.
I'm happy. I've written them for people. I have, in fact,
as her boss can confirm.
I am because before mentioned, I say whatever comes through my brain. I often have to apologize later.
Yeah, I have literally actually sat down and written apologies for both parties in a disagreement where like one was, I'm like, please, we're friends, let's not fight, oh my god, and then they're like, well, I'm not going to apologize, and the other one's like, fuck them, I'm not going to apologize either, and I'm like, well, we don't apologize, we can't be friends, so this is the worst thing. So then I'm like, okay, so what you need to say to party A is that you recognize their feelings in this thing.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess my adaptation has been, though I am a very highly opinionated and occasionally offensive person, I do really know how to own my shit and apologize for it. That's my answer.
So my answer is actually not like, I would expect Hang on just actually amusing me. What do you guys think my like trait is that's got me most in trouble?
Are we talking like, you know, rated X?
If you want, we're that far in the show.
The thing that's gotten you the most in the trouble.
I'm gonna go with your mouth.
Yeah.
Like me, you often say what needs to be said, but what no one wants to hear.
Also, you have a tendency to be incredibly blunt. And
again, like it's kind of on the same lines. Yeah,
so
you suffer no fool.
I'm okay with getting in trouble for that. What actually used to get me in the most trouble is I am naturally a people pleaser. And I'm also a very good liar.
But well, okay. You know, if you're that good, you shouldn't be getting in trouble.
I thought I was in trouble, and this goes back to a really odd childhood, which we're just going to reference and then go by.
Yes, you are. Yes, I have caught you.
I can have books written on bullshit. And so if I think that I need to please a person, and then I was wrong, I would then lie so smoothly that nobody could really tell until later on down the road. And then I'd have to fix the problem. And so the reason why I'm so blunt and so forward and so honest now is that is actually a learned behavior to counteract what I used to get in trouble a lot for. And still, even in times of stress, it's so smooth that something will come out of my mouth and I'll have to be like, wait, I'm sorry. That was an old behavior. And that is 100% false. That is
guilty.
Not. Yeah, I need you to just like erase. That was not an okay thing that just happened right there. I lied. And people will even be like, why did you lie about that? I'm like, I don't know. It's just so
I need to connect with you offline because there's something in my head about a thing where we both knew a thing that wasn't the real thing.
And so that's my impression is that I was a super smooth liar and a people pleaser, which meant that I was willing to spin a web and sell myself down a river, which is the reason why I'm very fucking truthful these days.
Yep. I understand that completely because I can tell a lie like there's no tomorrow.
I'm a terrible
believe it too.
Especially if I think it's going to get me out of trouble, like super fast, and then I'll be like, hang on. I'd rather be in trouble than fix that later.
So you actually like learned consequences of that. I will still just lie my ass off and get away.
I have never been good at lying. Like this goes back to little wee Tulia, you know, like knee high to a grasshopper Tulia. I have sucked at lying since day one. And so I learned, since I'm so terrible at lying, I'm just going to be extra truthful all the time.
So I used to get paid to lie by my parents.
I mean, arguably what we do for a living, Helga, what we do for a living is massaging the truth a little bit. So, I mean, you're very good at that. So
yeah, true. Now I'm much more like dealing with the thing. I'm going to tell you the truth. It may just be a version of it.
Is it? Well, so here's the key. It's not a lie if you don't answer all the questions.
Yeah, so I try to avoid that. So like as soon as I realize I'm falling into that trap, I realize that I am building myself a little web of shit that I need to maintain, and it's much easier to maintain the truth than it is that little fucking web. So I'm just gonna be like,
that's the other thing. Again, as somebody who has ADD, it's really hard for me to keep track of like different things. Like if I can like hold like 3 things in my brain at any
you just
given
got to
time.
convince yourself it's the truth.
No.
I'll give you some lessons later.
Because literally, like at my core, I am like,
you're a good person.
Lawful good. Like I like that, like
Not
I've gotten
so
a little
much.
bit of modifications here and there where I think I'm probably pretty much like chaotic good.
I'm like the trained paladin. Like I started off as the weird street rat, and then like the paladin found me and then raised me, and so I still have some of the street rat values, but all the paladin like, I will be truthful and honorable to my code, and I'll even tell you what my code is as I'm about to fuck you up over it. But like, then occasionally the street rat's like, but we want to steal this thing.
Yeah, I mean, you had a very interesting upbringing.
Yeah, I believe that
the
all
last question, since we kept our people for an hour and 20.
They're having a good time, right?
I hope so.
All right. Y'all
So
bored?
the bonus question of the evening.
Okay, bonus question.
From Leo. By the way, follow him at Ask a Night
Leo?
Live. Super fun show.
What is
where
it?
He peppers a bunch of nights with all the questions about like, hey.
Is that Ask a Night?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ask a Night Live. There's a page for it. It's super fun. I got to be one of the nights on it, and it's based like around the concept of this show where the knights don't know the questions they're getting asked. It's two knights being hosted by one unbelt asking nothing but questions submitted by.
That's why you want Thorfinn to go on that.
I totally want Thorfinn to go on that one. So
Probably would totally love to go on that one. Yeah.
From Leo.
Yeah.
We all know that there are 7 deadly sins. What's your favorite?
Gluttony.
Ooh.
Gluttony is kind of all-encompassing. You can just wrap anything up you want in gluttony. You like sex? Gluttony. You like food? Gluttony. Clearly, those are my 2 motivating factors right there. So, food and sex.
Food and sex.
I like
How we know how to bribe you. Food and sex.
You've met me. You know me. Yeah, no, gluttony is absolutely, that's the one.
I'm going to say a little modification on that question, actually. So that's your favorite, but what do you think is your weakness of the 7 deadly sins?
Okay, that's harder. That's not fair.
Okay, you can skip that if you want. So lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, and envy and pride. Those are the 7.
Yeah. With pride.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hearing no. So Brian's in the other room watching this, and of course with the delay, I'm like hearing comments from.
Okay, what according to Brian, what's yours?
Avarice.
Avarice. All right, I guess me. So my favorite, I love wrath. Like to just be purely angry. It is so satisfying. So like in conviction that you are in the right and everybody else is wrong and fuck you. Like, I mean, maybe that also encompasses pride, but wrath seems incredibly satisfying to me. I would say like the one that I struggle with the most, envy. Envy is a real problem in my life. It's always been, but at least I know what it is. So like, knowing is half the battle, right? Like, I feel like I'm at least aware.
Right.
But, all right. Helga?
What is my favorite? Amusingly enough, we're going to go with the super obvious answer. What my favorite is lust. And the thing about lust for me is it's an unfulfillable thing. So it doesn't just have to be sex. It's what you want, but it's unfulfillable. And so amusingly enough, I use lust as my driving force. That is spite sprinkles. It's the last 10% of everything I do. Add sprinkles and go from there. And it's 100% a guilty sin of I want to be the next thing. I want to be better. I want to understand more. I want to have the knowledge. I want to be able to present the knowledge. So I want to be articulate about it. It's not, lust for me is not something that I hoard. Lust for me is something that's like, I want more, so thus I can articulate more. So that's probably it. What I probably suffer from is fucking wrath. Oh crap, do I deal with wrath all the time. And I go from 0 to 100, and I would like to note that 1 through 99 can be very mellow. There's mediation, there is a bunch of like other things that go along in that 1 to 99. Once we had 100, I'm burning you down, I'm burning your family down, I'm burning your job down, I'm burning everything else down because you fucked with me and mine. And so I work really, really, really hard not to hit that like last 100, because once I hit there, it takes somebody else talking me out of it. Because if I'm just left in that like 100% zone, I will just proceed to use whatever skills and knowledge I have to destroy a person. Like, no qualms about it. And so there's checkpoints, and like at 90%, there's a major checkpoint. His name is Havek, actually.
And you see that.
So there's pre-installed barriers there, but I understand that wrath is my problem.
Yeah, I get that.
No,
I just don't let that be a problem. I just let the wrath out.
She's just like, I think it's an asset.
It's fine.
And so with that,
thus brings to a close.
Another episode of Between Two Peers. Ula, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. I want to say thank you to our tech crew.
Yes.
And that's going to roll us right into, on Monday, we are doing a bonus episode. So episode 6.5. We're doing a bonus episode where you guys get to meet the crew. So Tulia and I will sit back and just ask questions and drink drinks while they answer all of your questions. So it's a them focused show, so you can get to know who's helping behind the scenes to make this happen for all of you. Also, we ran a really a fun banner contest. Tulia, have you checked the chat group?
I've been looking at it. I know. We're trying to figure out who's on. I agree on all of those. Yes.
Okay,
go for
cool.
it.
So we would like to announce our winner tonight, who will be receiving a $50, up to a $50 value bottle of alcohol and/or a drink of their choice, because occasionally people don't want an alcoholic beverage. I will order it and have it delivered to your front door, and a custom, or not a custom, but an etched piece from Curious as a thank you for entering our contest. Please note that we're probably going to do these once a month with a prize to have everybody have fun. We're all stuck in the house anyways. So we're going to announce that Cassiopeia won our contest, and second place is Vesper. Vesper, I will be ordering something for you too. That gift was amazing.
Cassiopeia first place, Vesper second place. Yeah. I thought everybody's entries were amazing, but I have to say,
y'all gonna show the entries, or are we just?
We will show them. Actually, they're going to be. No, they're on the Facebook group. So
yeah, they're on the Facebook group. All of them are posted. I'm going to put them into a folder so we don't lose them. But Cassiopeia's will be used as the banner photo for episode 6.5.
It was pretty great.
Get to know our tech crew.
So we did a James Bond theme, and we put up a bunch of photos for people to Photoshop into James Bond, and people came up with some really, really great ideas and really funny stuff. And you guys are awesome.
I've been laughing all morning about it. Every time I have a bad moment, I've just been looking at those. And so we just want to say thank you so much for joining in our goofiness. Also, we're almost at 1,000 followers, so we're just about to bridge 900 followers on the page. When we hit 1,000 followers, we are gonna do something special for you guys.
We're gonna do a giveaway. We haven't yet decided what we're giving away, but we're gonna give something away. So we'll do that if we reach 1,000 followers in the nearest future. So tell your friends, your family, anybody, everybody, share, share, and follow. I've done this professionally. Well,
oh my God, I think we're turning into those media.
Oh, we are.
Hey,
We'll
right.
put it
So
down in the comments.
I'm gonna take some. I'm gonna take some tips from you guys for
Yeah.
Saga Saturday.
Yeah.
Well,
and also,
Can I
that was
plug
good.
Saga Saturday?
Yes, plug Saga Saturday. So Ula is part of this really cool thing every Saturday. Tell us about it, Ula.
So Saga Saturday is well, we're going to bi-weekly now because we have lives and Bear is in finals right now. But Saga Saturday, we get together, 2-3 of us, and we read over a saga in, depending on what the saga is, all in English or in Old Norse and English, or Old English and Norse, and English, and we geek out on language and sagas and the truth and what's actually true with history and what's supposed, because this was actually written 300 years after the event happened, and was it an oral tradition that passed along. Anyway, Saga Saturday, you can follow us on Facebook, and we have a YouTube page now. We started recording our geeky-tude, and we're putting it up there on a weekly, or now bi-weekly, next week. So not tomorrow, because I would like to sleep in tomorrow, but week after this will be sections from the Havamal, which I think a lot of people know. So
What time?
oh, I'm sorry.
What time?
11:30 Saturdays, 11:30 Pacific.
Yeah.
11:30 Pacific, and we have Tunahild up in Owertha, and we have pulled in Herser Bersi from right here in the Bay Area too, and we are just turned into complete Old Norse poetry nerds, because it's a thing.
It is a thing, and you guys are awesome. And
We're geeks. 3
of the most charming human beings I know on the planet are doing this, so y'all should watch it. And that's not me and Helga.
And I really appreciate that. Really, we're just hanging out talking to ourselves, and we do it live and then keep it recorded so people can look at it later. I don't know that anybody actually watches this. I don't give a shit. I'm just doing my thing. I know you're super cute. You watch. You were one of our 10 watchers last week.
So once again, thank you all so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week, where we will have Count Seto on as our guest.
I'm just making that face because he's pretty.
Oh, he's so
actually know who he is.
Yeah, I know.
So going forward, you need to have a next on and flash up the picture of the.
That's a really good idea.
It's Gun Productions.
Fine, I will note this.
Hey, more work for us.
No time later. Next time on, and you do a photo and you do a little blurb and.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, get on, kids.
With that, we love you all.